Welcome to the State Specific Show, where we weave across the country and the world to highlight local sneaker culture specific to those geographic areas. My name is Gabriel Fortson, and you can find me across all social platforms at Gabriel Fortson. Our guest tonight represents Atlanta, Georgia, a graduate of Fort Valley State University who has impacted the culture in a myriad of ways, namely as a writer for institutions like Billboard, Complex, NPR, Vibe, Double XL, the Atlanta Constitution, and many more. He has also been featured in Anscape and Black Enterprise. He has covered the culture from almost every genre to include music, sports, business, fashion, health, and fitness. While being a heavily devoted family man, he is also the co-lead for the Atlanta Run Club, where he has helped to build a community of runners throughout Metro Atlanta. He co-authored a book documenting hip-hop mixtape history called The Art Behind the Tape, a true Renaissance man. Please welcome Maurice to the show.
What's going on with you, man? Thanks for having me.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time, man. It's an honor to have you here, bro.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. So we're just gonna jump right into this thing, and we'll start talking about some stuff from the past, like what kind of shaped you, and then we'll kind of move our way to the future. But to start us off, what's your first memory relating to sneakers, to style and culture?
I think the way my memory works, there's like they all kind of like come together sometimes. So like sometimes I can name the first, but then I can also name the most impactful. You know what I'm saying? But I think the first time that like sneakers and style really registered to me was through hip hop. Like my dad is actually the one that put me on the rap music. I know a lot of times folks are like, oh yeah, my friend put me on the rap music, man. He gave me a Too Short tape or something like that. But my dad was actually the one that put me on rap music. Like he was listening to Fat Boys and Dougie
Yeah,
Fresh, Cool Mo D, stuff like that. So that's how I actually got introduced to sneakers and style, from seeing people like Cool Mo D on the cover of rap albums, you know what I'm saying, rocking track suits, or even, LL Cool J rocking the Troop sneakers and things like that.
yeah,
Um, and then seeing, like I said, groups like the Fat Boys wearing Adidas, and of course, you got to name drop Run DMC, obviously, if you're going to be talking about
got
hip
you.
hop and sneakers. So that's
Right.
how I really got introduced to sneakers as like a style thing. Cause of course, as a kid, you're wearing sneakers, but you ain't styling them. You just kind
Right.
of wearing whatever your parents bought you to go play outside in. Like you ain't really thinking about them. You know what I'm saying? But
Right, right.
so that was my first introduction, and then from there, that's when I started kind of paying more attention to it in a way. And I think maybe like the first athlete that made me pay attention to it too was actually Patrick Ewing. I know a lot of folks like to say
Yeah.
Jordan, but
Right.
I think it was Patrick Ewing for me. It was like when he had those them orange and white Adidas, those them
Yeah,
rivalry highs.
sir. Robert
I was like,
Hodge, that's
man,
right.
like those were hard. Like those like were the first sneakers I ever saw. It was like, man, what are those? I want some of
Right,
those. You know what
right.
I'm saying? Because Jordan had been out for a couple of years by then, and of course, we had Chuck Taylor out forever, and
Yeah.
the Nike Blazer with Moses Malone, and what else
Right,
was
right.
out? No. The Blazers were George Gervin. The Air Force Ones was Moses Malone. And
Yeah.
then who else has, Dr. J with Converse and all this stuff. But
Converse. Right.
those rivalry highs, especially those orange and the white, orange, and blue ones that Patrick Ewing was rocking when, I think it might have been his rookie year or maybe the second year when he got that endorsement. Those were the
Mhm.
first sneakers where I was like, man, I want some of those. So between those two references, growing up on hip hop and seeing folks like LL Cool J, Cool Mo D, and all them, and then seeing Patrick Ewing in those shoes, like those were my earliest memories of like style and culture when it came to sneakers.
I got you. Okay. No, I remember those days, man. You're right. When those orange and white Ewins dropped, yeah, people went crazy for those, bruh.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Those were
they
hard.
went crazy for those, man. They were super hard because they had that. They just had a unique look to a high top, right?
I just remember they had like a very huge tongue,
Yeah,
and then even the ankle padding was very prominent. But I think one of the smaller details what made it stick out to me was like the on the sole, you know what I'm saying? Like on the under part, like it had like this grid type pattern, like
yeah,
this crisscross type pattern, you know what I'm saying, on the sole. Like that's what made it stand out to me. It kind of looked like a fence or something,
right.
but yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, those were dope, man. Those were dope. So, like growing up in Decatur, uh, were there different areas of Metro Atlanta known by their different styles? Like in New York, like people talk about how you can tell somebody what borough they're from based on like what dress how they're dressed or whatever. You know, so could you tell what part of the city someone was from based on how they were dressed back then?
But yeah, most definitely, man. Because I mean, depending on who you ask, Atlanta, some people break down Atlanta by the police zones.
Right.
Some people break it down by, the counties. Some people just break it down, east side, west side, south side, whatever. But yeah, that's definitely true. And I still get in trouble for talking about this sometimes because like being from Decatur, like we had a way that we looked, and we looked distinctively different from somebody from the west side who looked distinctively different from the south side. Growing up, the north side didn't matter yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't think the north side started mattering until like Migos and them, to be honest. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But yeah, and I think the first time I understood this was when, I got old enough to catch MARTA by myself. Um, and I started venturing off. I started going to, Greenbrier Mall, you know what I'm saying, West End Mall, things like that. And soon as I got, into those part of town on the train, or if I entered one of those malls, it felt like I was being sniffed out. Like somebody was like, "We know you ain't from here. Look at what he's wearing." You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Right.
there's this saying that I be saying sometimes. Like I said, I still get in trouble for, like, and it's definitely a biased statement, but I always used to say, cats from the east side, we dress to look good.
Yeah.
Folks on the west side, they dress to get looked at. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like, we would have our outfits together, you know what I'm saying? Everything would be matching, coordinated, whatever. But, folks on the west side, their style was always a little more louder. Like, for instance, remember when, like, the different colored Braves jerseys started coming out, you
Yeah.
know, like we may stick to the traditional, like we might get the red one, the navy blue one.
Yeah.
Somebody from the west side gonna bust out with that neon green one,
Right. Right.
with the pinstripes. It's like, bro, you doing the most,
No doubt.
or
No
even
doubt.
like, some of our style on the east side was a little muted. I mean, granted, we wore the same sneakers, whether it was like Air Max, Jordans, or whatever. But our thing was we were big on Reebok classics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We was big on all the different models of Reebok classics because you can dress those up and dress those down. You know,
Right.
whereas
Right.
on the west side, they was all about some Jordans, all about some Air Max. You know what I'm saying? Whatever looked the most expensive. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I started
Gotcha.
noticing
Gotcha.
that when I started venturing out on MARTA by myself, and people just immediately tell that I was not from around there. Usually because I was walking around in some Reebok classics. You know what I'm saying? So.
That is hilarious,
And
man.
then on top of that too, just footwear in general, like, we used to rock Eastland boots too, so it's like we weren't always just wearing sneakers, we would, dress it up sometimes to get the Eastland boots or something like that too. So yeah,
No doubt. Yeah, absolutely, man. Eastland boots. I remember those.
you would stand out like if you went to another side of town. Like, for instance, um, there were two nightclubs that kind of defined the experience, on the east side and the west side throughout the 90s. Like the west side, they had Club 559, and on the east side, we had the Gate.
Gate. Yeah.
And, if you was a west sider in the Gate or east sider in 559, like, you stood out. You know what I'm saying? Like people knew that you was not from that part of town, depending
Yeah.
on how you dressed. And and like I said, even the colors matter. Like, because everybody was rocking Tommy, Polo, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
Nautica and all that. But sometimes just the way that you wore it, it was like, they ain't from over there somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. I feel that. Those are good days, bro. We just kind of touched on it a little bit, but because this show is driven by sneaker culture, it's important to ask, what do you think sneakers meant culturally for Atlanta when you were growing up, and how do you compare that to what it may mean to the city now?
I mean, culturally, 'cause I mean, being from Atlanta, you're- it sounds superficial to some, but like your appearance counted. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just couldn't come out the house looking any kind of way because you was gonna get joned on. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I mean, I know people call it bullying now, but
Right.
like that was just an understanding. Like, if you came out the house looking crazy, even if it wasn't under your control, if your pet family was broke and you just ain't have it, they ain't care. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
your
They coming
appearance
for you.
definitely matters. So, especially like when you think about how you look people up and down, a lot of times people are looking you up, starting at
Right.
the bottom. seeing how
Right.
your shoes look. So like if they weren't clean or they were off brand or whatever, like you was gonna get some jokes. So
Yeah.
like it definitely mattered how you appeared when you came outside. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the culture was definitely driven by that because it starts off as just being like, okay, I just want to look good. And
Hmm.
then when you kind of, master that, it's like, all right, I kind of want to one up somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I kind of want to, step out with something that, oh yeah, you don't know about this. You ain't got this
Right.
one.
Right.
Well, you ain't got this color. You might have that one, but I got the newest one. You know what I'm saying? So like
Right.
it
Right.
definitely meant something, culturally. But like, from my experience, a lot of it was just based off of like, man, I don't want folks joning on me, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I know like a lot of folks they still might have PSTD from that to this day. Like, man, I don't want folks joning on me, bro. So I'm gonna make sure that I step out the house in something. Like, even if it ain't the most popular sneaker, it's gonna be clean at
Right.
least. I'm gonna put the toothbrush to these things and make them last. But what we're not gonna
Absolutely.
do is just have me being the butt of everybody's jokes because you know how my shoes look.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, yeah. I remember those days, man. Getting Joan, coming to school, people call you shoe cat heads and whatever else they call them.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, do you consider yourself to be a sneakerhead? And if so, what was the most interesting cop that you've had so far?
So, that's a question I still ask myself to this day because, what's the saying? Comparison is the thief of joy. So it's like, when I think of sneakerhead, I be thinking of folks like, rest in peace, Clark Kent,
Yep, no doubt.
Mayor,
Rest in peace. Yep.
folks like that. You know what I'm saying? Even my man G Rock, you know what I'm saying? From the shoe game, KO from ATATF, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yep.
like,
Shout out
I be
KO.
thinking sneaker, I be thinking folks like them. Comes like, no, those were sneaker heads. But then when I do take some inventory on like my, selection and, my collection and rotation, like, oh, damn, I might be one because
Yeah.
I do have a lot of shoes, bruh. You know what I'm saying? I was just thinking, like in my house right now, like, and it's going to sound crazy, but it's like there's a whole little closet downstairs in my basement where it's pretty much nothing but shoes, just like ceiling to the floor. And then like that's on the wall. Then there's bins of shoes because oh yeah, I done lost the shoe box to this. So these are just
Right.
gonna go in the bin. And so like
Right.
there's 2, 3 of those. Then there's shoe racks in my garage of the shoes. It's just like, I'm just gonna throw these on to go to the store right quick. I'm throwing these on to go walk
Right.
the dog. And you realize like you got multiple colors of New Balance just for that. Then you look
No
in
doubt.
your coat closet, like, damn, the shoes in here. So like there's shoes all over the house. You know what I'm saying? So when I see that and realize this, like, oh damn, yeah, I guess I am a sneakerhead. But like I said, when I think of that term, I'm always like, well, no, I ain't mayor out here. I ain't, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
No doubt. I totally feel that, man. There's levels to it for sure.
Yeah.
So, we'll get into the running part of it later, but is there a particular brand or silhouette that dominates your current non-running shoe collection? Like not your runners, but just your normal collection. Is there like a brand that like dominates your collection?
So I want to answer the second part of your question. I just realized I didn't answer the second part of your question. You said what's the
Okay.
most interesting sneaker?
Yeah.
Like two come to mind. Like they're interesting in hindsight. At the time, I just got on kind of man, these are fire. But there was a pair of dunks that came out in the mid 2000s. It might have been like '06, '07 or something like that. And they were some Josh Gibson inspired dunks. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like the
dope, dope.
Negro League player Josh Gibson.
Yeah.
And they appeared to be a part of a line, but I don't think there was other sneakers that went along with it. But I remember the back of it said something like the hidden history, the hidden truth, or something like that. But
Okay.
they was inspired by Josh Gibson from a team that he played on. I think the team was like from Veracruz, something like that. But like they was hard. Like they were brown, like the base was brown, like the toe box was red,
Hmm.
the heel was blue. You know what I'm saying? The swoosh was like a cream color. They had
That's
cream
dope.
laces. Like the inside was like a brown pinstripe, like these are hard. And I
Right,
remember
right.
getting them like I think I found these like at an athlete's foot in the West End. Like that was, damn near inside the Kroger. Remember like how the athlete's foot would kind of be attached to a Kroger or a Walmart or something
Right.
for a minute?
Right,
Like, I
right.
found them in there. I didn't find them in no specialty shop. I'm like, "Man, these are hard to me." And, like,
Yeah,
I wore the hell out them shoes for a long time, and folks be like, "Hey, man, what are those? Where you get those from?" And I was just always
yeah.
calling them, "No, these are Josh Gibsons. These are Josh Gibson." You know? And I held on to them for a long time. Like, I really wore them into the ground. And I remember one day I just, man, let me look up and see if there's still a good pair out there, which there are some pairs out there, but of course, they going for like 500 on eBay now. And it's
Wow.
like, bro, I paid $60 for these on sale at Athlete's Foot. You know what I'm saying? So I really can't even bring myself to even replace them, but they were interesting to me because I didn't see a lot of people with them on when I
Yeah,
had them. And like it felt like there was, they were telling a cool story about, just
absolutely.
like the Negro League journey and Josh Gibson. So that's one shoe that come to mind. Another one, this is not a brand that a lot of people are going to recognize. Like it was super internet based, but
Mhm.
there was like this brand of sneaker called like Incas. I think it was called
Incas,
like
yeah,
INKKAS or something like that.
I remember that, yeah.
And they had like this very simple high top canvas style shoe, similar to a Chuck Taylor, whatever, but the material was made out of like Peruvian textiles. So like it almost looked like a serape blanket. You know what I'm saying? Serape, that the Mexican pattern.
Yeah.
And, like, they were hard, so I used to wear those, you know what I'm saying? It was back when, we was rocking, like, dashikis with the fitteds. Remember that
Yes,
era?
sir.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So, it's like they went cool with the little, like, that the little dashiki situation I had going on, so and I used to get a lot of questions about those, like, "Man, what are those? What are those?" And, like,
Okay.
so, like I said, like, it wasn't a popular brand. It was just something I stumbled across on the internet one time, like, "Oh, man, I like these,"
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
I was like, they were handmade. I was like, they were fly to me. You know what I'm saying?
no
But,
doubt.
as far as that last question you asked, you said, what's a favorite silhouette that is not in my running rotation?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say right now, the New Balance 993. The New
Okay.
Balance 993 is, my favorite, and it's a trip that how I even got into that shoe, because of course, like, that's the quintessential dad shoe.
Yeah.
Like, I was never that wasn't even my favorite New Balance silhouette, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always thought the 574 was the best silhouette, but then, like,
Right.
when, they used to have, like, all the different colors of the 574, like, they came in different styles.
Mhm.
And, the 993 was usually just, gray, black, gray, black, gray, black.
Absolutely.
Might look up on the navy blue, gray,
Right.
black, gray, black, you
Right.
know? I remember there was a point in time a few years ago where it was like, man, and I think we've all reached this point where maybe not, but I was just like, bro, I don't need any more damn shoes, bro. I just need to get
Yeah.
a shoe that I'm just gonna wear every day. And I decided it was gonna be a gray pair of 993s.
Yes,
Like
sir.
they go with everything, they comfortable. This is gonna be my only shoe. I was really about to Little B them things. You know what I'm saying? How Little B like was wearing the same Vans for like forever. I was
Right.
like, this is gonna be it, bro. I'm out the game. I started stumbling across other colors. Like, oh man, they starting to make other colors of these. They not just doing the black and the gray
Yep.
anymore. They got other
Yep.
colors. And I fell right back into it. So now I'm looking, I'm like, oh man, gotta get the burgundy ones, gotta get the navy blue ones, gotta get the purple ones.
Yep.
Especially like, these last few years where what's my man name from ALD? Teddy Santis, when he took over
Santas.
as like the creative director for Made in USA, and he started releasing more colors of the 993s, like a lime green or a purple or whatever. And I was like, dang, man, this gray one was supposed to be my last shoe. Now you're making all these new colors. I gotta get them, But yeah, right
Right.
now that is definitely the silhouette that I'm leaving the house in the most often. The New Balance 993, like it's a shoe that I can just slip on. They go with everything. They're super comfortable, and I've started getting into the 990 V6s a little bit.
Okay.
Like I wasn't always a big fan of the silhouette, but I wound up getting the all red Joe Fresh goods that
Yep.
released that time
Yep.
from I think it was like the prom pack or something like that. He had like the blue ones and the red ones. Yeah, I think they came out like in Paris or something like that. So like I came up on a pair of those. I was like, man, these 990s ain't too bad either. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're actually easier to slip on, to be honest. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
But no, but right. So I wound up getting some, some 990s over the last, year or two as well. But right now, the New Balance 993 is definitely, my favorite. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I know a lot of people they love the 992s.
Hmm.
The 992s, they're great for getting fits off. You know what I'm saying? Like they're great, the way, a pant can lay on them or whatever, but they're not the most comfortable to me. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't spend the whole day in them. I just like, okay, if I'm getting the fit off, yeah, perfect. But those 993s, those are hard to beat.
No doubt, man. And like all these, like you said, all the collabs with these silhouettes now with the New Balance, it just kind of they just right back into your pocket. Like you said, you thought you had kind of found one, you can slow it down, but then they bring these collaborations out, and then you're right back at it, right back in the
Right.
store.
And it's so ironic too, because I was reading an article with what's my man Steve Smith, the sneaker designer, because he used to work at New Balance and he pretty much designed all those old silhouettes. And I remember him kind of
Right.
feeling at the time, he's like, man, I'm kind of jealous now because like when I was designing these shoes, I would tell them, man, we need to make this color or that color or that color. And they would always be like, no, we're just gonna do black and gray. We might do blue, maybe
Yeah.
white, but gray and black, that's where it's at. And so now all his creations, all his silhouettes are getting all these colors now, decades
Yeah.
after he done designed them and left the company.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to Steven Smith. Hey, he's had quite an impact on a couple brands, man. And he's doing this thing with a new brand. He's or who's designing for or Crocs or something, but he's still out there doing this thing. But you're right, man. Like as soon as he left, then they started doing the collaborations, and
Yeah,
then
man.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but he, like
they
he
put
got
us.
he has a lot of my favorite designs. I think my favorite design from him is actually and I found out in retrospect when I started doing my research, but like those neon yellow and red Insta Pump Furies.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
I had always wanted those from back in the day. I just, but those was a shoe that came out in the early '90s that they just kind of disappeared for a while, and then I saw them pop on. Like, oh wow, these are back. And I was like, let me go and get some of these. And then I just did the research. And I'm like, oh wow, Steve Smith did these too. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So that was like yeah, he been doing this thing for a minute.
Absolutely, man. Speaking of that, like, are there any pairs that you kind of have on a bucket list to like reach back and get that it's like, man, if I kind of lose sleep over if I can't get this shoe and add it to my collection one day?
Hmm. Oh, I mean, outside of Josh Gibson's I just brought up, like, probably not, cause it's the thing, man. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, man, cause like we're seeing a lot of retros come out, right?
Yeah,
And it's great for nostalgia, but it's like sometimes, like when I see these shoes and being like, and I ain't afraid of my age. I'm 45. I can't hide that. I got grays all over the place. But
yeah.
sometimes when I see these shoes come out, I'm like, oh man, I should get those. But then I'll be like, dang, bro, like, am I gonna look like a 13-year-old in these?
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like some of them is like, yeah, I can still pull these off, but some of these are like, bro, I'm gonna be walking around here looking like a 13-year-old in these. Like I'm
Yeah.
a grown man now. I can't. I don't know if I can pull this off. Cause even when those Dion's came back out, I was like, oh man, the Diamond Turfs are back out. They just didn't work for me. I was like, damn, I don't know if I can pull them off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be out here like looking like a kid. Ain't
Right.
what I'm going for. You know what I'm saying? But I still
Right.
love the shoe. You know what I'm
No
saying?
doubt.
So going back, so I think about it sometimes. Not a lot of them like ring my bell, like probably because of that twisted thinking. Because it's like, man, I'm gonna be around here looking like I'm 12 in these shoes, bro. I don't want to look like I'm 12. You know what I'm saying? But and plus most of the ones that I've wanted, like I wound up getting, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't a long list. I was just like, man, if I can get some black cement threes and some bread fours, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wound up with both of them, not the recent ones, but like the ones that came out, was that like 2017-ish or something like
Yeah.
that? You know
17,
what I'm saying? Like,
18. Yep.
yeah, around that time. So like I was like, man, if I get those, like I'm actually fine. Like I'm okay. You know.
Right. No doubt. No doubt. So, is there a specific style that you would attribute to growing up in Decatur that may have impacted how you see sneakers and fashion today? Like, is there something that you can say that, okay, because I was exposed to this in my environment, this is this shaped like how I see sneakers and fashions right now as an adult?
I think so, man. Like, cause like kind of similar to the question that you asked about, like, what was the first shoe that kind of registered, sneaker and styles? Like, um, I think the first shoe I saw really make an impact to be like, oh wow. Um, there was these felines that came out like around like 91. Um,
Okay.
it was the one that had the strap. I think they were
Yep.
called the you know what I'm talking about? Like I
Yep.
I looked it up, bro. I done forgot the name of them already. But everybody knows what I'm talking about. Like there was these felines that came out around like 1991 that had the strap around the ankle, but everybody would let the strap hang off the back.
Let it hang.
And
Yep.
they came in so many different colors. You know, they came
Yep.
in black, blue, yellow, purple, green. You know what I'm saying? And like when they hit my neighborhood, like everybody had them. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay.
then, add to that, I think who was the most popular group at the time? Belle Biv DeVoe was popular at the time. And they were
Yep.
known for
Yep.
rocking them, you know what I'm saying, in their videos and all that kind of stuff. But like when those felines with the strap came out, it's killing me too. I need to what are them things called? They were the high tops with the strap. And it's like, in hindsight, you look at them now, he's like, man, they were copying the Air Force Ones, bro. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to look them up now. I forgot the name of the shoe. But like everybody knows what I'm talking about. Those felines with the strap, they used to like hang off the
Yep.
back. Like that
Absolutely.
was, one of the first shoes where it was just like, okay, yeah, like this kind of this is gonna probably like shape how I view shoes. Cause like people were getting off all kind of fits with them. And like, back in the day, like what was the style back then? Like the cross colors, the damaged
Yep.
jeans, and, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Folks was walking around with the overalls with the strap hanging off, it was like that era. Yeah, like and those shoes are what completed that outfit. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mhm.
when I saw it out how when I saw those make an impact in my neighborhood specifically at school and all that, that's when I started like, okay, I'm informed now. Like this matters. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like you don't just come out the house just wearing whatever. Like this matters.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Um, and I think I know the answer to this question already, but kind of looking back when you were growing up, what
Hold on,
side of
FX
Atlanta
100, FX 100. That's what they're called. The feline
FX
FX 100
FX 100? Okay.
is killing me. Yeah, I had to find out FX 100.
Yeah, and then the cool part about Feli is that the acronym just fit. You know what I'm saying? It made sense for Atlanta, man. So that's a shoe that I think everybody in Atlanta can like really relate to, just because it kind of
Yeah,
tells
because
tell
even
us that we
beyond
we
those,
we
like
love Atlanta,
the
man.
fitness were big too. You know what I'm saying? The feline fitness sneaker.
Yeah.
Those are big too, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember, folks were perplexed when remember Fly Kicks? Was you living here when Fly Kicks was on Peter Street?
I don't think so. I hadn't gotten there yet.
Okay, so, like, there used to be this boutique sneaker store called Fly Kicks on Peter Street. It was co-owned by that dude Fly who owns, Think It's a Game Entertainment that had, like, Trinidad James and Lucci and Rich Homie Quan, right? So, like, he co-owned this sneaker store on Peter Street called Fly Kicks, and they did this collaboration with Feli where they had like some peach fuzz Feli fitness. And I remember when they came out, folks was like, man, what are these? You know what I'm saying? But it's like if you was from Atlanta, like it was like, man, they understood the assignment, bruh. Cause that is
Yeah.
an Atlanta shoe. You know what I'm saying? And they knocked it out the park, putting that peach fuzz on it. So it's like, even with those, like the Forever I Love Atlanta thing is real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I gotta correct myself. I was here, but I didn't know about the store.
Hmm.
Yeah. I didn't know about the store. And we talked about the different sides of town, like as you were growing up. Like, I think I know the answer to this, but what side of town you think had the most style when you were growing up?
I mean, I gotta say mine. I can't say somebody
Yeah,
else. You know what I'm saying?
no doubt, no doubt.
I
Absolutely.
gotta say the East Side. You know what I'm
East
saying?
side all day,
I just
bro.
got to. I can't be like, oh yeah, man, they were doing their thing over there. Like, nah, like
Right.
it gotta be us.
Gotta be, bruh. And, I think about all the time, man, like, growing up in the era that we grew up in and, like, coming through, like, the golden age of rap and stuff like that, that's just the mindset, right? It ain't no disrespect to nobody, but, it's a healthy ego, like, "Nah, I'm the best," right?
Right.
It's not down on you, it's not taking anything away from you, but I gotta say me, like, that's just on GP, I gotta say me, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and I I got a lot of boys that actually, grew up on the east side, man, and I remember, like, the styles were different, man, and it was like, it wasn't prep, but it was, like, close to prep. It was like a mix of prep and street, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but like you said, it was clean, it's a little bit more subdued and stuff like that, just, like, the details, right? It was, like, paying attention to the details,
Like I
man, so
said,
yeah.
like, we dress to look good. Other parts of town, they dress to get looked at. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then like don't forget about that era where, everybody was starching everything too. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Everybody,
Absolutely.
you get that crisp, line down your
You gotta
jeans, you
put
know what I'm
that
saying? You
crease in it,
starching your
bro.
collar, starching the line down the collar, down the shirt sleeve, like everything was starched up. Like you couldn't tell nobody nothing,
Absolutely.
bro.
Couldn't tell them nothing, man. You had to put some starch on it. We weren't taking nothing to no dry cleaners, man. We were doing that stuff ourselves. You spend an hour on
Right.
an ironing board, man, just getting your outfit together, you know what I'm saying?
Like with that starch, I thought I was doing something because like I forget the brand. I think it's called like Niagara or something like that. It was either Niagara or another one,
Yep,
and it kind of came like in like a spray can. You shake the can, you
yep.
spray it, and I'm thinking I'm doing my thing. And then, of course, somebody come to school with a sharper crease, and you're like, bro, your crease hitting kind of different, bro. Like, what you got? And so like, I'm using that Stay Flow, and that Stay
Stay
Flow
flow.
was like some high concentrate type stuff that you had to like pour some water in the bottle and shake it up, bro. Like
Right, right.
they were like professional looking.
It went to a commercial brand.
Right.
Absolutely, man, and that's the type of stuff we paid attention to, man. Everybody, and because back then also it's like we got fresh in similar ways, but it was always different, right? So, like if a store had some silk shirts, like if we were buddies, like we would go in and we would buy a silk shirt, but your design is gonna be different from my design. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
we might rock some silk shirts, but it ain't gonna be the same shirt. But we both gonna be fly, but we didn't go around wearing the same stuff that anybody that
Right.
we knew would wear. We always looked for something that was a little bit different from everybody else.
Right. 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 Or at the
Yeah,
least,
man. So
like if somebody was adamant, like, no, I need to get the same ones, like, bro, like, well, don't wear it on the same day I'm wearing it. Like, don't come to school wearing like
right.
if I wear mine on Tuesday, wear yours on Friday. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. He had to have an agreement, man, for sure. For sure, man. So, your work takes you behind the scenes of some major events and with some high profile individuals. What have you noticed about how sneakers impact style for some of the stars and entertainers that you currently interact with? And let's compare and contrast that impact with a couple decades ago, meaning, you know, how people dress today, how does that compare to how people dressed years ago that were influential, like in music and the industry and stuff like that?
I think, early on, like it was all about individuality. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I mean, granted, like the same brands were around. So like there was always gonna be like some overlap, but it was definitely about like individuality, how you wore it, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that's how people like stood out. And then of course, if it was too noticeable, like folks just be like, you know what, they're gonna be the only one with that. I'm just gonna find something
Right.
else. Like I'm not
Right,
about to
right.
just look just like LL Cool J, bro. Like I'm not about to wear the same exact as this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like let me go find something else that will make me stand out. You know what I'm saying? Of course, different styles and trends are always going to like overlap with some people. Like, okay, man, this is what we're doing. We're wearing our shirt this way, we're wearing our shirt that way. Cool. That's like
Yeah.
that's what the understanding was. But you know, I think there was like a lot more, individuality because like there was another calling card, for you to go
Mhm.
along with your sound of music. You know what I'm saying, and
Mhm.
how you presented yourself when you stepped outside. Whereas, I think now there's still style, but I think the style is very much like, um, a lot of it is based around how much somebody paid for something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not about, oh man, hey bro, like I'm either the only one or one of few with this, or hey, y'all have it too, but you're not wearing it like this or doing it like that. Where like as of late, it's more so been I got the most expensive thing,
Hmm.
and that's considered the style. Like, yeah, I got the most
Right.
expensive thing.
Yeah.
I got the $5,000 one. You only got the $1,500 one, which like damn, both of these sound expensive. You know what I'm
Right. 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 Right.
saying? Like everything is like very like luxury, like luxury brand, which like granted that's a sign of the times. Like when people start doing a little bit better for themselves, like they're I say level of taste loosely, you know what I'm saying, but their interest in things go to other areas, you know what I'm saying? Where like, oh man, why just stay here where I can now go over there and buy this expensive thing now? So I think that's the main contrast that I see with a lot of things. It's just like, there was a time where it's like it was about expressing individual style, expressing, like your neighborhood, where you come from, your point of view on the world, like think like where you're at in life at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like these are all extensions of who you were. Whereas like over the years we saw more so like, oh man, this style is broadcasting to the world how much money you make. And not even necessarily how much money you make. It's broadcasting how much money you're willing to spend. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
'Cause it's like I remember, and like this is no shade to anybody, but I remember when I was blogging heavy at the time, uh, XXL, they had this cover where they had Soldier Boy, OJ the Juice Man, Shawty Low, and Gucci Mane on the cover. And I think the cover was the title like the So Icy Boys, you know what I'm saying? Because they were all hot at the time. They were, you know what I'm saying? They were like
Yeah.
they were the guys of the moment. And all of them was in this photo doing the same pose. All of them was doing the same hold up the chain, flex the watch pose. Like all of
Yeah.
them. It's like,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I remember it reminded me of a cover from XXL that happened maybe 10 years prior, where it was Goody Mob on the cover. And it was like maybe like XXL's second ever issue. 'Cause I think their first issue was like Master P and Jay-Z. And the second issue, they had a D'Angelo cover and a Goody Mob cover. And now that Goody Mob cover, similar energy, you know what I'm saying? They're all from Atlanta too. Like CeeLo got gold teeth in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? You might see a gold ring on somebody's finger, gold bracelet, gold chain, but it's like none of them were doing the look, look at what I bought
Right.
pose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was like
Right.
that Goody Mob photo, and I remember writing a blog, kind of like making a juxtaposition of these two eras, where it's just like that Goody Mob pose kind of showed you like, look at who I am.
Yeah.
Whereas that later cover presented, "Look at what I got." You know
What
what
I
I'm saying?
got.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how I feel about just, like, where we were at and where we're kinda at now, whereas it's like, it's not so much about individuality and just being like, "Hey, man, this is where I'm from, this is who I am." It's like, "Man, look at what I can afford, bro. Look what I spent money on. Look what I bought." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can dig that, man. I see the same thing. It's we dress for ourselves back in the day. Now people kind of, like you said, dress for others. It's like being a peacock, like just trying to show what you got. Yeah. And you talked about writing for Double XL or whatever. What developed your interest to be a writer? Like what got you into writing?
so there's 2 different versions. There's actually a few different versions of these stories. Um The one that I tell the most often is that, like, I actually got forced into writing. Like, I got forced into it. Like, I didn't realize I was always good at it until, like, of course, your mother reminds you, you was always good at writing. You always did good in English class, and you wrote this and you wrote that. I still got your book report on Andrew Young." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
wow, okay, cool. I got forced into writing because, when I was, at Fort Valley State, um, I was majoring in mass communications, and my whole college journey is a story in itself. But I'll start there. How I landed there after some ups and downs. But I was majoring in mass communications, and I got into that major mainly because of radio. Like I wanted to be a radio personality and DJ. I was DJing the student center parties and all that kind of stuff. I was getting free CDs in the mail from being on the radio station. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be me. I'm gonna be the next Greg Street when I graduate. Like that's all I wanted to do. I'm just gonna be on the radio. And mass communications is mass communication. That means no, you gotta do radio, you gotta go do TV, you gotta write for the newspaper, you know what I'm saying? Right when I'm about to like kind of get up out of there, they're like, yeah, man, you're doing your thing on the radio station, man. Which I was like, we was winning all kind of like, HBCU radio awards and doing cool things in the community. But they were like, yeah, but to get the degree, you also got to write for the school paper. Like you have not wrote for the school paper yet. You got to start taking these newspaper writing classes and writing for the school paper to get the degree. And I'm like, damn, bro, like y'all telling me this when I'm almost done. And so, um, I was like, well, like I'm not interested in like reporting the news or anything like
Yeah.
that. So I was like, well, can I just write music reviews or something? Like I get, free CDs and stuff since I'm on the radio station. Can I just write some music reviews? Like, yeah, you can do that. And so I just
Okay.
started writing music reviews. I think the first thing I ever published in the paper was like, I did an album review on that Mary J. Blige No More Drama album. You know what I'm saying? Because,
Okay.
this is new.
Yeah.
It came out. We want to write a review on that. And then I think I just started writing about stuff I want to write about after that. I was like, we got to write something on this UGK album. You know what I'm saying? We want to write something on this Jermaine Dupri album. You know what I'm saying? Just stuff that I was
Yeah.
listening to. I didn't really care about the audience. Like, this is what I'm listening to. You know what I'm saying? But the editor and my professors, they was like, yo, man, you kind of good at this, bro. Like, you sure you don't want to like pursue this a little seriously? And at the time, I was like, nah, bro, I'm just doing this for class. Y'all said I gotta do this for class. I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
trying to do this radio stuff. And so, but while I'm down there, my confidence started building in the writing. So once people were like, yeah, we like what you're doing with the music stuff, man. So I was like, well, shoot, let me see, what else am I interested in? I like sports. So started writing about the school football team, the school basketball team. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I can write about sports. I can do that.
Yeah.
And then, I just started writing editorials about the state of the, USA basketball team, like the Olympic team. Like, oh man, we suck now, bro. We losing to Argentina. You know what I'm saying? I'm like writing commentary about that kind of stuff.
Right.
And, so my confidence started growing as a writer. I was like, oh wow, man. Cause like it opened up a world to me because, like I said, when they came to me like, yo, man, you gotta start writing for the newspaper. All I heard was like, man, I gotta report on boring stuff or
Yeah.
quote unquote important stuff. Like, bro, I ain't trying to talk about 9/11 and politics and you know what I'm
Right.
saying, what then happened downtown. But it opened my world. Like, no, you can write about the things you're interested in. And it clicked because I was like, well, yeah, like I grew up reading the Source magazine and XXL, all that stuff. That's journalism too.
Absolutely.
It wasn't clicking when I was consuming these things as a teenager. It was like, oh, no, I'm reading the magazine. Like, no, that's a form of journalism too. Journalism isn't just reporting on the news and
Right.
politics and stuff like that. So when that clicked, I was like, okay, cool, man. This might be something I could pursue. But I was still focused on radio stuff, but along the way I started, writing for like a local music magazine in the area that was based in Macon, Georgia, which wasn't, there's like 30 minutes away from Fort Valley State. And I think it was called like Georgia Up and Coming. You know what I'm saying? That was like my first shot. Like they gave me an opportunity like to write cover stories and stuff like that on the local artists and all that kind of stuff. And I was like,
Okay.
man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, I was still focused on my radio journey. You know what I'm saying? I was enjoying it, but I was like, no, I'm still focused on this radio thing. But the door that opened first was the writing because I had an internship at it was 97.5 at the time, but it's 107.9 now. Like I had an internship at the radio station, and it was a trip because I was interning there right when Chris Lover was turning into Ludacris. You know what I'm saying? I was
Yeah.
there to see that whole transition. You know what I'm saying? And but I was still on that track. I was even thinking, oh, bro, he about to be up out of here, man. I might get me a job at the radio station now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I was interning there. But, things weren't opening up as fast as I wanted them to, you know what I'm saying? Because I was kind of in this spot where I was always at a disadvantage compared to the interns that went to like Clark or Georgia Tech or something like that. 'Cause they was always there. I would always have to leave, go back to school when the semester started and show back up for the Christmas holiday or the summertime. Meanwhile, they're gaining all kind of ground. So I was always kind of at a disadvantage. But I remember one time I was talking to this woman named Kim Hutchins. Like she was like one of the salespeople at the station. And I developed a rapport with her. And she was just asking me, "So what you gonna do, man? Like you about to graduate, ain't you? What you gonna do?" And I was like, "Damn, I don't know, man." But you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like this rail thing may not pan out the way I wanted to. At least the way I
Yeah.
wanted it to. You know what I'm saying? But I remember one time we was talking, and I think this is like shortly after I actually graduated. You know what I'm saying? I was like kind of working under her in the sales department. But I remember telling her, like, well, I know how to write too, man. Like I got, like a portfolio of articles I wrote. She's like, oh well, I know somebody that has a magazine. Not for real. So she introduced me to this dude named Munson Steed. He owns this magazine called Rolling Out, which is still out to this day. They're digital now, but Rolling Out, it was this free black owned paper, kind of like Creative Loafing, but it was black. You can find it in all the barbershops, like anywhere black folks was at. The barbershop, Yassine's fish market, nail salon,
Right.
like anywhere black folks was at, that paper
Right.
was there.
Right.
I met him and he gave me my first opportunity to write. And that's a story in itself too. Like they started me off like, hey man, we ain't gonna pay you yet. We need to find out, what you're doing.
One of
Since I had to
those,
write
yeah.
for free for them and stuff like that. But that's long story short, because it's a long story, but that's how I got into writing. I got forced into it. And then, but things just started unlocking for me to like open my world to like, oh man, maybe I can pursue this for real.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. No, that's dope, man. And it organically happened. Like we
Yeah, it
don't know
did.
sometimes why we're doing one thing because it's actually preparing us for something else. So no, that's dope, man. So, as a follow-up to that, what advice would you give someone who aspires to be a writer, for some of the major publications, like some of the publications that you've written for? Like what would you give them as far as advice, and if they're trying to make a career path, like what would you tell them to initially start focusing on?
So the game is drastically different from when I started. Like I got in this game like 20 plus years ago. So like things were different, a lot of it was gate kept because, the platforms had all the power. The actual, people did not have as much power. Like, if you wanted to get in the game, like you had to go work at a magazine, go work at a TV station or whatever, or go work in a newspaper. Whereas now, like you can start your own platform easy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say easy, you know what I'm saying? But you can start your own platform, whether it's like, okay, gonna start a blog, gonna start a Substack, gonna start a YouTube channel, gonna start a podcast. So like you can start your own platforms now. You know what I'm saying? So like that's one thing I think people should continue to lean into, especially now because, so much of our media has been compromised due to the political climate. Independent journalism is very much needed now because like you saw what just happened with Don Lemon. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He don't work at CNN anymore, but this man is probably making a bigger impact doing his own thing than he ever did them years just essentially being a talking head at CNN. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I would tell people to lean into examples like that. You know what I'm saying? But you do that by just being real with yourself and um focusing on what you think you're interested in. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't gotta fake it to be like, oh man, I'm gonna just write about important stuff. Like if that don't interest you, don't do it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it may seem important, like, oh man, we need to talk about the economy and the wars and the this. It's like, bruh, if that don't interest you, if you're not well versed in it, it's okay to be like, bro, I like talking about new era caps.
There you
You know
go.
what I'm saying? I like talking about shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's value in the information. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be an audience that finds value in the information if you're presenting it in a good way. You know what I'm saying? So I would encourage people like, to find the things that are meaningful to them that they would want to stay up writing about, creating content about, you know, and see where that leads you. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's how it happened for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, I got forced into it, but I found a way to be like, well, I don't want to talk about the boring stuff. Let me talk about things that I like. And, the doors opened up for me because I chose my direction and, and followed the passion that I had and the interest that I
Right.
had. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So,
Yeah, yeah. No, that's dope. That's dope.
and then like once you
So
build your own audience and also like opportunities will come, like, because I've seen where somebody starts their own platform and then somebody like a complex comes along. Hey man, seems like you're an expert in that. You want to write about that over here? We'll pay you this much. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Like
right.
they'll find like when you develop your own expertise, that's when some of these larger companies start coming to you like, oh man, seems like you pay a lot of attention to this. Seems like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Would you want to report on that for us? You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Great point. Just gotta build your specialty and, make sure that you've perfected that and then others will see it at some point. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, so Atlanta influences everything. Like, that's a moniker that's been around here for a little while. From your perspective, what was the catalyst of that movement, and do you think that statement is still true today?
It's funny you ask, 'cause, like, I don't have any kind of, theoretical answer to that. Like, I know exactly how that started. The I've been my friend Bame Joyner, who I've known for, like, 20 plus years, like, he invented that term, he made the term. Like, Atlanta influences everything, so it's like, I don't have, like, "Oh, man, it meant this, it meant that." Like, no, I know the
Right.
dude that started. I know the dude that is the catalyst. Like, he made up the term, 'cause I think,
Right.
and a lot of people don't know this, but, like, it was actually inspired by sneakers. That phrase that he created, it was actually inspired by when the, yeah, I be calling them the Bo Jacksons. I know they have a name, but, like, remember the Olympic Bo Jacksons that
The
came out?
trainer.
The
Yeah.
trainer, you know what I'm
Nike
saying? So,
trainers, yeah.
that
Mhm.
shoe came out. Shout out to the homie Chaos, you know what I'm saying? He designed that shoe during his time at Nike, and, a lot of people were not happy with how the shoe was rolled out in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? A lot of folks were like, man, there could have been more done with that shoe, how it was promoted, how it was seated, how people got it. You know what I'm saying? It kind of just was like, oh man, if you ain't at the Nike store at 7 a.m., you ain't getting it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, people were just kind of like, a lot of folks were disappointed with just how the shoe was presented. People loved the shoe, how it looked and what it stood for. They loved that chaos. Somebody that was from here designed it, but a lot of stuff that went on around, and folks were disappointed in it. And Bane was inspired by that disappointment to be like, man, Atlanta influences everything, man. Atlanta deserves more spotlight and recognition in this way and that way. Atlanta deserves proper rollouts and product releases and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah. So to answer your question, like, yeah, I know the catalyst. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have like a poetic uh answer, but like, yeah, like, Atlanta definitely influences everything because, I mean, um it's a city that continues to, like, reinvent itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, Atlanta has so many different ways of identifying itself. Like, especially as you look over history, like, some people, they know Atlanta as, that's where Martin Luther King from, civil
Yeah.
rights movement. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Some people know that, oh man, that's the city that's only had black mayors for the last 50 years. That's where all the
Right.
black people go. You
Right.
know, some people know that's where all the popular rappers are at. That's
Yep.
where Ludacris, T.I., Young Jeezy, Gucci, that's where all of them are from. Some people know it as, that's where Tyler Perry's at. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? So it's like, it has all these different identifiers, even in sports. Oh man, that's where Vic played,
Yep.
or that's when the Braves had all the black players on the field in the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's so many different things that people identify with Atlanta, and they're all so different, and the city continues to, reinvent itself at the same time. So, like, when you hear things like, Atlanta influences everything, you know what I'm saying? That's what it means. Like, it influences and inspires other cities to continue to innovate and, put themselves on the map, make sure that they're putting their best foot forward. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you still feel like that's true to today, right? As far as like, you know, I know I got my perspective on it, but that term, is it still a valid term?
Oh no, yeah, I think it's still valid today. I think it's still valid today because, I mean, people keep moving here.
Yeah, right.
Like, that whole Atlanta we fool thing is real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're
It's
not
super
you're not
real.
hearing a lot of other cities complain about, man, everybody keeps moving here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right.
people
Right.
keep moving here. So obviously, like, it still has something that everybody wants or wants a piece of. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
definitely still true. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it's like, there's always gonna be a new thing that comes out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for one moment in time, it was, oh wow, this is where a lot of the, civil rights movement decision makers are doing their thing at. Okay, now this is where black business people are doing their thing at. Okay, now this is where black entertainers are doing their thing at. Okay, now this is where black tech entrepreneurs are doing their thing at. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's always gonna be a thing that kind of, sets a barometer, for especially for black folks, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh man, this is the direction that we're probably headed in or should consider heading in and all those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah. I always tell people, man, that Atlanta is a place where your dreams come true. You can create a dream somewhere else, but Atlanta's the place where your dreams come true, man. You can
Yeah.
make that thing reality. Yeah, they still coming, bruh.
Yeah, I mean, I had cousins trying to move down here during COVID. But hey, cuz I heard y'all open. I'm like, bro, you can stay where you at, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Stick where you at. You'll be all right. So, I saw you in a documentary. I don't know, it was about 6 months ago or something like that, and it was pertaining to like the Dungeon family. Had a bunch of that crew in there. It was not too long ago, but there are a lot of eclectic styles within that group. Who do you think is the most intentional about their style from the group, and how do you translate that, or how do you see from your perspective how that's translated to the masses? So like within that group and that group of guys, like the group is bigger than what a lot of people really know. Like they see some of the premier names or whatever, but I know it's a bigger group and it's a larger group. Like who has the most influence around style, and then just kind of talk about that a little bit.
I mean, I think multiple members of that crew have impacted style. I know a lot of folks do the lazy thing and just be like, oh, Andre 3000, Andre 3000.
Yeah,
He's great. But it's
right.
like there are multiple members of that crew that have, you know, made impact. So it's like you think of somebody like Big Boy. It's like, you know, Big Boy was one of the main figures of throwback jerseys being a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
Like he was on the
100%.
throwbacks before the boom of them in the early 2000s. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like he had been on that.
Right.
So you got Big Boy. A lot of people they sleep on Big Gip too, man. It's like
Big yep.
for every wild outfit that you seen Dre in, Gip done stepped out in something wild too. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Absolutely,
like
absolutely.
you can't forget about Gip, like especially if you had the opportunity to like see Goody Mob live. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? When they were touring and performing heavy, it's like, nah, like Gip be stepping out some crazy stuff too now. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
They just go back and look at what he was wearing in the Black Ice video. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Like you
absolutely.
can't sleep on Gip. Of course, to this day, we just seen CeeLo outside, like, yo, what is CeeLo doing? You know what I'm saying? When he was out, I think he was at the Grammys with his son or something like that, when they were
Yeah,
kind of like dressed like Kiss with the,
yeah,
the paint and all that kind of stuff. So CeeLo has always been, marching to his own drum. You know what I'm saying? And like one thing, saying I want to, so, it's a trip like when you try to say things that somebody else told you, but it's like, um, a lot of people remember when Dre during the AT Aliens era, in that elevators video and even on the cover of the AT Aliens album, like when he was walking around with the turban, you know what I'm saying? It's
mhm,
like, yeah,
mhm,
he put that on the map for himself as an identifier, but a lot of folks will tell you like CeeLo was doing that first. It's just
okay,
there's not a lot of pictures and videos of CeeLo doing that first. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of folks will tell you like CeeLo was doing that first and Dre was inspired by that. You know what I'm
got you.
saying? And then,
Okay,
we saw him do it. You know what I'm saying? So you can't sleep on CeeLo. Like CeeLo presents himself in a different style, like damn near every time you see him. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
then and right when you think he getting too out there, he come back with the, oh bro, I'm still wearing polo head to toe. You
right,
know what I'm
right.
saying? I'm still from the A. Let me give you this polo. Let me give you this Ralph tutorial. You know
No
what I'm saying?
doubt.
Just to remind you, like, don't forget who I am now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's multiple members of the Dungeon family that have like left a stamp on, style. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we can't leave out 3000, you know what I'm saying, with
Yeah,
everything that he's done and pushed, you know what I'm saying? And even, I think out of all of them, he probably gets a lot of the credit because he's one of the few that's actually like made it over to the product side. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of them is like, well, great, Gip got hats and stuff too, but like he was one of the first ones to like make it over to like the actual, oh, I can buy this product side. You know what I'm saying? When you think of things like the Tree Torn, sneakers that he was making a few years back, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? The Benjamin Bixby
Yeah,
clothing
Benjamin
line.
Bixby.
Like he was one of the first to like really be like, oh, I got product to put in the marketplace. Whereas like a lot of the other crew members, like you just always saw their style, but they
Right.
didn't always have like a product to be like, oh yeah, man, here's an extension of that for you to partake in as well. You know what I'm saying? But like, no, all them Sleepy Brown, you know what I'm saying? Like Sleepy
Yeah.
Brown has always, you know what I'm saying, had his own style. I remember it was this small thing, like it came and went, but my brother, I got shot on my brother was inspired by this outfit that Sleepy Brown rocked one time. There was this video for a Big Gip song, Stepping Out, and Sleepy Brown was rocking a necktie with a Dickie suit, and it looked hard. Like you would have never thought to put that together. Like what? A
Yeah.
necktie over a Dickie suit? You know,
Right.
it came together. You know what I'm saying? It was like a tan Dickie suit, black necktie, black chucks. And it was
Okay.
like, that's hard. And I
That's
remember my
super
brother,
hard.
I'm like, I'm wearing that to school, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't, yeah, you like that whole crew always had like, you know what I'm saying, this which makes them so unique. Cool Breeze didn't look like Backbone, who didn't look like Witch Doctor, who didn't look like Cujo, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they always had their own styles, you know what I'm saying? That's what made
Right.
that crew so original, you know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Yeah. Yeah. They come from that throwback era. Like you don't bite people. You create your own style. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
So like yeah, and I know that a lot of people they think 3000 got the turban from Erica. You know, they would think, oh, it was influenced by her, but you know, you like you said, it was influenced by CeeLo, right? So I think that's
The
pretty cool,
ATLiens
man.
came out before we even knew that they
Yeah,
were a thing. Like the ATLiens came out in like what, 96, which means they were working on it in 95.
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? We didn't know of them as a unit, as a couple or whatever, to like, 90, late 96, 97. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, you you know, started your career as a writer and you did all those things. Like what and you were a DJ, so I mean that was already in the genre. But what was the thing that catapulted you into being able to like rock in those circles, like being a DJ and being a writer? But like, what was the thing that put you in a place to where now, okay, I'm writing for documenting, doing all these things for the not only the local celebrities as far as rappers and stuff, but you went outside of Atlanta too. Like what was the thing that kind of got you into that space?
I gotta give kudos to my man Brandon Peters, man. Like he's one of my closest friends. He started off as my mentor early on in my career, and I still, look at him as somebody's like, oh wow, man, he's doing things that are cool. You know what I'm saying? Things to aspire for. But no, but Brandon Peters, one of my best friends, he opened my eyes to the idea of like freelancing for different places, right? Because like I said, my first job I was working at Rolling Out. So I was just a staff writer there. I was just writing stories for them. And like, and along the way I was inspiring, oh man, what it would be like to write for Vibe or this. I just didn't know how to do it, you
Okay.
know. And one day we were talking, he was like, oh man, this is what you do, man. You write a query, like you write a query and you address it to the editor and you let them know, hey man, are y'all interested in hiring freelancers? Hey, okay. Then you start pitching them ideas like, hey, I think this would be a good idea. Have you heard of this artist? Have you heard of this trend, this dance, this, that? Or hey, y'all aren't covering this right now. I know about that. So you start pitching them ideas. And so I gotta credit him for like opening my eyes to that world of like being able to tell different stories for different platforms, you know what I'm saying? And moving around in that way. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, like I didn't know where to start with that. I was always like, oh man, I want to do that. But I did not know where to start. But he really like gave me the game on how to get started on that. And he actually like alley-ooped me one of my first opportunities. Cause like I said, I was writing full time at Rolling Out. And um, he was freelancing too, but he got very busy and he called me one day. He was like, "Hey man, you heard of Ozone magazine?" And at the time I did not, but Ozone magazine was a magazine based out of Orlando. It was ran by Julia Beverly, and it focused on Southern hip hop. So when he told me about it, oh man, that's right up on my alley, bro. He's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
so they want me to write a cover story on Pastor Troy, but I can't do it. Do you want to do it?" And I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm going to give you her number. Y'all talk, figure it out. And so that was like my first real like, oh shit, like I'm doing something, you know what I'm saying? Like a
Yeah.
magazine has hired me to write a cover story on Past Detroit, which like that was a big deal to me. Like, like Past Detroit was like the soundtrack to my life for a couple
No
years
doubt.
there, you
No
know?
doubt.
So like, I gotta give a shout out to my man Brandon Peters for like, giving me the game and giving me like a lot of my first alley oops, saying whether it was like at Ozone and like he went on to become a lifestyle editor at XXL, and he used to hire me to write a lot of the lifestyle stories there, which opened my eyes to another style of writing, still within the culture. Because a lot of times with hip hop writing, people just kind of just focus on the music. Oh, I'm going to write this music review. I'm going to interview this rapper, this producer, whatever. But his role as a lifestyle editor showed the different ways that hip hop culture is translated in different things. So like I could pitch him ideas or get opportunities about, hey man, have you noticed that there's a lot of rappers with cartoons on Adult Swim right now? We should do a story on that. You know what I'm saying? Or like, hey man, have you noticed that there's a lot of rappers getting into cigars and stuff? We should do a story about that. So like it was able like to like tell
Yeah.
different stories within the culture, which weren't always necessarily like music or album based. You know what I'm saying? So
No, that's dope. That's dope, man. So let's switch lanes a little bit here. So what sparked your interest in running, and tell us about the Atlanta Run Club?
running was something that I didn't get into until like I was well into adulthood. Like, people see me running now and they're like, oh man, you must have ran track. Bro, I didn't do nothing in high school, bro. Like I barely made it out. You know what I'm saying? So let alone be on a team or some sport. You know what I'm saying? I think the most experience I had with sports in high school, of course, everybody, played basketball or whatever at PE,
Right.
and then like I tried out for the wrestling team one time trying to be like my cousin, you know what I'm saying? My cousin Seneca, he was like a all-state champion high school wrestler. So of course, when I started going to high school, are you gonna be like your cousin? You gonna keep the legacy going? And of course, you try to form an identity for yourself, like, yeah, man, I'll be a wrestler.
Right.
You get in there, I'm the smallest dude there, and they put me off the team because like, I ended up swinging on somebody. I just like, I'm getting tired of getting slammed on the ground, bro. Like, we we about to do WWF now, dog. You know what I'm saying? They're like, yeah, nah, bro, this ain't for you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But
Right.
but yeah, so I say all that to say, yeah, I didn't do any sports, as a teenager or nothing like that. So I didn't get into running until I actually turned like 30 years old. Like when I turned 30, because that's one of those milestone ages where you start taking inventory of your life. Like, oh man, am I doing this right? What can I do with it? I remember having a conversation with my dad, and he was pretty much saying, hey, yeah, 30's that age where, you want to start focusing on building some good habits because the bad habits are going to get harder to break the older you get. And like that resonated with me. Now he didn't
Yeah.
tell me anything to do specifically.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, you need to go join the gym or you need to go do this. He was just like, hey, this is that age where you need to start focusing on some good habits because the bad ones are going to get harder to break the older you get. And
Yeah.
for some
Facts.
reason, the first thing that came to head was like, yeah, I should do something physical. I should start working out or something. Around this time, it was almost serendipitous. Like I had a friend that stayed down the street from me named Derek. He was getting into running. And he started just kind of like inviting me out to run with him because he had gotten into it. He's like, hey man, like he wasn't doing anything extreme. He was just running up and down Marietta Street. You know what I'm saying? And he started inviting me out to run with him in the morning. And I was like, oh man, this feels all right. This cool. You know what I'm saying? And so we just started running together a lot more often. Started running up and down Marietta Street. Then we were like, let's run through Georgia Tech campus or let's run down this street. And
Yeah.
it turned into let's run up Kennesaw Mountain. You know what I'm saying? We just started running. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man,
Yeah.
this is actually pretty cool. And so after years of that, again, the homie Chaos, he started a run group called Movers and Pacers, which is still, functioning today in Atlanta. But at the time when he started, it didn't have a name. Like he just invited, people that he knew that were like, in different creative industries to go out for a run. 'Cause he was inspired to start this initiative because he lost a close friend named Jax, who he used to make music with. Like Jax suffered a heart attack while performing, while rapping, you know what I'm saying, at Lenny's. There used to be this dive bar off Memorial Drive called Lenny's. And no, it was on Memorial, but then it moved to DeKalb Avenue. But it was a place where like a lot of talent got their start, whether it was,
Okay.
like B.O.B., Yellow Wolf, Janelle Monáe, all kind of people.
Yeah.
Um, and Jax died on stage while rapping. And like he was very young. Like looking back, 'cause I looked it up, not too long ago. And it was like, damn, that dude was only like 34. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
And so Chaos was like inspired by that. You know what I'm saying? They're like, hey man, let's get healthy out here. So he invited, a group of us to go run. And then like he just kind of built and built and built it. He branded it as, movers and pacers. So now it's like, oh wow, I'm in a run club. And this is before like run clubs were popular. Like this is like 2013, 14. You know what I'm saying? So run
Okay.
clubs are still kind of a new thing in Atlanta. And so yeah, that's how I kind of got into running, you know what I'm saying? Through that series of events. My dad being like, hey man, you need to find some good habits. Cause at the time I didn't have any good habits. I was, smoking Black and Miles, drinking PBRs, you know what I'm saying, staying out late,
Yeah.
eating Waffle House all kind of times of the day, you know what I'm saying? Just bad habits.
Yeah.
And so just that series of events, conversation with my dad, Derek inviting me out to run, Chaos starting movers and pacers, and I just kind of just flowed into it. And that's, the journey just been going on, ever since.
Okay. Okay. That's dope. And then with the Atlanta Run Club, how did you get involved with that? And kind of let the audience know what the Atlanta Run Club is.
Yes, Atlanta Run Club was started in 2018 by the founder, James Rowe. And, it's a club that aims to, introduce like the concept of community as a whole to running. You know what I'm saying? Because, a lot of times when people hear run club, they think, oh man, y'all gonna leave me. It's like, nah, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's what I think.
Right, you know what I'm saying? It's like we want everybody to feel like this is accessible to them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so you can be the fast person or the slower person. You can be the person that's running for 10 years, the person that just started last week. We want to build a community of different kinds of runners, athletes, people from different, racial backgrounds, professional backgrounds, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like church to a degree. You know what I'm saying? We want to, welcome everybody. But
Okay.
no, it's
Yeah.
been in existence since 2018. We host, numerous runs in Atlanta throughout the week, starting in different parts of town. And I started running with them, I believe it was like around like 2022. Um, is when I like got put on to them. And I ain't gonna lie, like it's a trip because I was actually intimidated by them when I first heard of them. Cause like a friend of mine who I was running with, my man Adnan, he was like, hey man, have you ever ran with Atlanta Run Club? And I was like, no, who are they? They're a new club here, man. Cause I had just kind of moved back. I was kind of getting my footing back in Atlanta. Cause me and my wife, we had moved to Birmingham for a couple years while she was in graduate school.
Okay.
I would come back and forth for work and stuff like that, but we was based in Birmingham. And then when we moved back to Atlanta, COVID hit. So like, oh, now we in the house. 2022 is really when I started coming back outside for real. So I go, oh, what's
Okay.
going on?
Yeah.
And so like he told me about Atlanta Run Club. And I'm like, I'll check it out. He's like, yeah, man, meet me on Thursday. I'm gonna be there Thursday. And so they were doing like this track workout. And I was like, I've ran around the track a couple times, just, not any kind of structure, but I was like, oh wow, they got a track workout. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember walking up on the track workout and like it was hot outside and like everybody had their shirts off, so everybody had abs and muscles and I'm like, hey, bro, like, I'm like, hey, man, what you got me walking up in, bro? I wasn't ready for all this. Like I was actually kind of intimidated. I'm like, hey, bro, I don't know about this one, dog. I thought we
Yeah.
were just gonna be jogging, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
'Cause by this point, like I had been in some races and did well, but I was kind of just doing my own thing, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause I had
Mhm.
ran a half marathon by that time. I had been in some 10Ks and 5Ks, but this looked intense, you know what I'm saying? He's like, no, you'll be fine, man. Just jump in. And so, they explained how we went.
Yeah.
And when I got out there, like I noticed like, oh wow, I'm keeping up with the fast people. All right. Like it kind of unlocked something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, bro, like don't
Okay.
doubt yourself. Like, just walking up, you being scared, like, oh man, everybody got their shirt off, they got muscles, they look fast. Even the
Yeah.
women, it was like, damn, the women were cut. I was like, hey, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this looks serious. I saw that, oh wow, I'm keeping up with the fast people. I'm doing all right out here. Like, and it didn't feel that bad. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep coming back. And then when I kept coming back, I know I was inspired because, like I said, I had already been, getting into races and I was doing my thing. Like every once in a while I'd win something in the race where oh man, you were the fastest 39 out here, 39-year-old out here or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But uh I started noticing a lot of the people at that track workout were people that was winning the races that I was in, like the first place finishers.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, oh, this is where they be at. They be here. This where they be putting the work in. Okay, bet, bet. I'm in the right place then. You know what I'm saying? So I was inspired by seeing those faces there. Like, oh man, this the girl that won that race. This the dude that won that race I was in. This where they be at. This what they be doing. And it unlocked my mind to like the idea of training, because before that I wasn't really trained. I was just running a lot and just
Hmm.
getting stronger along the way, but I wasn't like training like that for real. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, I'm not. I was training a little. Like I think by that time I did run a marathon already. But that first marathon experience, most people to tell you, like, unless you like already know what you're doing, like that first marathon experience, you just out there surviving. You just like, bro, even the training journey, you just like, I'm just doing what this app saying, dog. I don't really know what I'm doing it or why. I'm
Right.
just following the program on the app and hoping for something good to happen. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
being
Right.
around them, like
Absolutely.
really unlocked my mind and exposed me to like structure and all those kind of things, real information about, what to do, what not to do, you know what I'm saying? Eliminating a lot of fear, eliminating a lot of myths. And, I just been down with them ever since, man. You know what I'm saying? And they trusted me to be a lead after a year or two. And then, I got promoted to being a co-captain a year or two ago, man. So like, I've really been enjoying it, man. I've really been enjoying contributing to that community and helping others and all that kind of stuff, man.
Okay. No, that's dope, man. That's dope. Um, so with running, the shoe is integral, right? It's an
Yeah,
integral part of running.
very.
What's your favorite pair to run in right now?
Right now, my favorite pair to run in. Well, I have three because, like I said, as you get into it, you can have a favorite, but you need to have a rotation because the different shoes are going to serve different functions. But
Okay.
I'll say like right now, my overall everyday favorite is probably the Adidas EVO SL.
Yeah.
Um, that like you can pretty much do everything in that in that shoe. You can do your slow runs in it. You can do your fast runs in it. If you want to take it on the track, I've seen people do that. Like it's a shoe that can do everything. You can do your short runs, your long runs, your mid runs. It's a good everyday runner. So that's probably my favorite. And then as far as like my rotation is concerned, is like that's my favorite everyday. Another shoe that I tend to use every day, but I tend to use them on my easy days is the Nike Vomero Plus.
Yes,
Um
sir.
like Nike really got down with that shoe. So that's a shoe that I enjoy running it every day, but I usually use it for like my slower, easy run days.
Okay.
Um, and then for like my training runs where I'm like, on the track or, doing a long run workout or even racing in a race. Right now, my favorite is another Adidas shoe. It's the Adidas Adios Pro 3. Like they're on Pro
Okay.
4 going into 5 now. But
Hmm.
right now my favorite is the 3. So like that's my current rotation. It's a trip like in the running journey, like your rotation changes almost every year,
Hmm.
because like if you would have asked me this a year or two ago, I would have been saying, "Oh yeah, man, the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3." Like I was all Saucony for like a year. Like I
Okay.
was only running in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 and the Speed 3. Like that, I was like, that's it. That's all I need. You know what I'm saying? But if you would have asked me years before that, oh, the Nike Vaporfly and the Nike this, you know what I'm saying? So like it changes, which that's one kind of thing that does frustrate me about sneakers with running specifically. Is like you wish that they would just make the same shoe over and over again. Cause like I think a lot of companies they get so caught up in wanting to innovate and they change things that they did not need to change. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
They change it just for the sake of changing. Like, oh man, it's another year. We got to come up with version 4. Nah,
Yeah.
bro, you can really just make version 3 again. Like, nobody's complaining about 3.
Right.
Keep making 3. Like, you don't have to make 4, 5, 6. Just stay at 3. Cause it's like, like Converse is still making Chuck Taylors.
Absolutely.
Nike is still making Air Force Ones. Like, why can't we apply that to running shoes? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to innovate like every model all the time because you wind up alienating a lot of the runners because people's bodies are different, and
Yeah.
your body changes. It's like once you
Right.
find that shoe, you're like, oh man, this is perfect. And then you find out, oh well, they're discontinuing that because they're moving on. It's like so now you got to go on eBay and try to buy
Yeah.
them all up. You know what I'm saying? Because like ain't gonna make them no more. You know what I'm saying? But that's my current
Right.
favorite in rotations with what I'm doing right now.
Okay. Okay. And then in the
Another
running
thing
space,
too,
like,
gang. Another thing
yeah,
too, man. Like with those 2 shoes I just named, the EVO SL and the Nike Vomero Plus. Like this is the first time in a long time where I've seen people that don't consider themselves runners having a lot of interest in those shoes to the point where it's like runners are having a hard time getting their hands on them now because folks are like, man, I work at the airport. I can wear these working at the airport. You know what I'm saying? Or
right.
these just feel good and they look good. Give me 3 pairs. So now, like, you going to the sneaker store trying to find them, like, oh man, we sold out.
Yeah,
You go
they
to the
out.
website, oh, we sold out. It's like, bro, ain't that many people running in these shoes. And then you mess around, you go on the ATATF Instagram, you KO, be like, what y'all think about this one? It's like, oh man, the whole general population likes this shoe now. You know what I'm saying? I did not see that with yeah, bro. Like we love the Saucony Endorphin Pro 2. Like, you didn't see people just buying those just to be buying them. You know what I'm saying? But with that EVO SL and that Nike Vomero Plus, like they
Yeah.
let you know that they did something right. They
Yeah.
let you know they did something right. If people that don't even count themselves as runners are buying running shoes just to live in.
Absolutely, man. And I'm one of those people. Like, I got my first pair of the Romero Plus, I think a month ago. And I was chaperone with my daughter's orchestra class down in Universal last week. And that's what I wore the whole time, those
Yeah,
Romero Plus. And you could barely tell you had them on, man. Like, I
yeah.
mean, they were super comfortable. And then I just got a pair of the Adidas EVO SLs a week ago. And when I pulled them out of the box, man, I almost thought I didn't even have anything in my hand. They were so light. I mean, they were
Yeah.
super light, and I haven't worn them yet. Like I probably have put them on in the next couple of weeks or whatever, but I can already tell they're going to be comfortable.
No,
So
they're a good shoe, man. It's like
yeah,
and I really hope that Adidas don't do the thing that so many sneaker companies do. Is like, we're gonna innovate. We're just gonna change the whole
yeah,
shoe. It's like, nah,
yeah,
bro. Like, you can really just keep making that shoe. Like, I
yeah,
forget her name, but at the sneaker of the year thing that just happened, the woman
yeah.
that worked for Adidas that was on the panel,
Oh, Julo, yeah,
I told her, like, hey, y'all don't have to change this shoe. Just just don't do nothing. You don't have to innovate. Just
yeah,
stay right here. You know what I'm saying? I think my only gripe with that shoe is like, they make so many colorways, but they don't be available in America. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah.
oh, this is a Netherlands exclusive. This is a Brazil exclusive. I'm like, bro, you know what
Oh man, yeah. I can't wait to put that one on, and I actually want to get that Bob Marley, the yellow one that just dropped too. I want to get that one.
yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got some hard ones like those yellow Bob Marleys. The black ones go hard too.
yeah.
Then you got they got some brown human races.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Those
yeah,
those are pretty hard.
yeah.
There's a leopard one. There's a leopard print one that looks kind of fly out there too. Like they got some dope colorways, but it's just they just hard to get your hands on. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, you
Okay.
know.
Okay, but you're right though. It's almost like they should have a consistent, group of runners that they consult with, to say, hey, is there something that needs to be changed in the shoe? And if all y'all say no, then they know that they can just stick with the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Now, did you have like a running sneaker that you kind of use as a lifestyle shoe? Like we talked about the New Balance, the 993 or whatever, but those, like you said, they almost consider like dad shoes or whatever. But when you are specifically talking about a runner, do you have like runners that you just use as lifestyle shoes, or you strictly have your runners kind of set aside for the sport?
Yeah, at this point, like most of my runners are specifically just for sport. There was a shoe a few years ago where I got done running in them because you're supposed to rotate your running shoes out. I mean, granted, some people don't. Like it still feel good, do your thing, but a lot of people think or say that the sweet spot is like once it's kind of like a car, like, once you either reach that 6 months or that 2,000 miles, it's time to change the oil.
Right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying? So with shoes, a lot of people believe like once you reach either 300 miles or 3 to 4 months, if you're running in them every day, it's like, hey, bro, you need to switch them things out. For
Okay.
some people, they switch out every training block. Like, say, like if you're training for a marathon, they're like, hey, I done trained for my marathon, I done finished the marathon, time to switch these out. Some people
Okay.
even switch out shoes while training, you know what I'm saying? Depending on how long their training block is. Cause some people have like 16-week training blocks, some people do 12 or whatever. But yeah, so most of my shoes when I'm running in them, like, they stay for runners. But a few years ago, I found myself holding on to a lot of my Nike Invincibles. Nike had like the first ones, the Invincible ones. I held on to multiple pairs of those because they were releasing some dope colorways in those too. So once I was done doing my running in them, I was like, well, they ain't too beat up. I can still wear these, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So the Nike Invincible fell in that category for me. And that's another shoe, like the ones were perfect. They dropped them twos. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, like, why'd you change it? And
Yeah.
then they kind of got back on track with the three, but then people complaining about the three too. They're like, cause like, so I was like, I skipped from one to three. Like the threes were fine, even though
Okay.
they were a little heavier. But now they don't even make it no more. They changed it so much, they just stopped making them. So that's why you get the Vomero Plus and the Vomero Premium now to kind of like, take that place. But yeah, the Nike Invincible ones, that was a shoe that made it out of my running rotation into like, my lifestyle rotation too.
Okay. Okay. That's dope. That's dope. So, last year was a big year with sneakers in general, and this year tends to be trending, towards being a great year as well. Do you agree that, last year was good, or like how do you see the sneaker culture in general right now as far as like the releases, the amount of releases, and, just kind of how sneakers are flowing right now?
No, I think it was a good year in the sense that we got to see a lot of new players. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to see a lot of companies step up and create things that people liked. And I'll say really over the last 1 to 2 years, you saw a lot more of that. Like more brands being like, hey man, we got something to offer too. So
Yeah.
whereas like, the consumer isn't just thinking, oh man, it's only Nike or Jordan.
Right.
Nike or Jordan. You know what I'm saying? So like you had like a lot of different players, you know what I'm saying, come along across, platforms, whether it was like through sport, lifestyle, hiking, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you saw a lot of different companies get some shine because, people like having options, especially now where it's like, everything is at your fingertips, so you look up something and, oh man, look at all this stuff.
Right.
So I think the last year or two, like have been good in that sense to where it's like, there's a lot more options out there. You know what I'm saying? Cause I don't think you would have asked anybody 5 or 10 years ago if they would have looked in their closet, like, oh wow, I got some Nikes, I got some Brooks, I got some Ons, I got some Antas, I got some Pumas. You know what I'm saying? It's like it probably just would have been either all Nike boxes or Adidas boxes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But now it's like you got so many different companies doing their thing, offering different things, and they can be styled too. Like so, I think that was a good thing. The collaboration stuff is like it's a lot of collaboration. Some is like, bro,
Yeah.
like, this don't even make no sense. Like what? You know what I'm saying? Like what are y'all doing? Like why does this exist?
Right.
Like who is this for? You know, like, even some of the companies I love, like for instance, like I love running in my Adidas, but then you see them take the runners and they slap Pharrell name on it.
Yeah.
Now they was $700. It's like
Right.
Like, bro, we ain't even seen Pharrell run in these. Like, why are you trying to sell me a $700 running shoe just because Pharrell name on it? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like
Yeah.
sometimes they do too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like the collaboration stuff, I would like to see more collaborations that make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like shout out to my man Beamer. He does a great
Yeah.
job breaking down what makes sense and what does not. You know what I'm
No doubt.
saying? The whys
Shout
and
out
why not,
Beamer.
collaborations. But overall, I think we are in a good time for sneakers because everybody seems to be getting what they want to a degree, which you can't be mad at that. It's like if you're into performance shoe, you got a lot of things to choose from. Especially with the
Absolutely.
resurgence of basketball shoes, because growing up, basketball shoes that was the thing. Like that's what you wore,
That was
even if
it.
you weren't hooping.
For
Especially
sure.
if you were growing up living a lifestyle where you would hoop right after school. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? This shoe is getting me through my whole day. I'm going to
Right.
school in it, and I'm playing basketball in it. So it's great to see basketball shoes return to relevance to where it's like, oh no, I will wear this even if I'm not on the court. You know what I'm saying? Where you see stuff like the Ja threes, you know what I'm saying, and how people are drawn to them and things like that. Um, and then what else I about to say? Yeah, you got so many different options now. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? For function, for style. Like we were saying earlier, people that want retros, like they're living their best life right now. Like it seems like everything is coming out. You know, there's shoes where it's like, bro, I literally forgot that these existed. They bringing
Right.
these back.
Right.
Like, finally, yes. You know what I'm saying? So I think I think a lot of people, everybody's getting what they want right
Yeah.
now. You know what I'm saying? So
No doubt.
that's a good thing in my head.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that, bro. I agree with it. So we're getting close to wrapping this thing up. I want to make sure that, we get this little piece in. What advice have you been given that has been most impactful on your career?
So I got to shout out another one of my close friends, man, my man Deshaun Kennedy, who we've been friends for 20 plus years now. He dropped this line on me one time, and granted, I'm gonna say he was the source. That I heard it from him. Now, granted, he probably could have heard it from some motivational speaker and just told me, but it came from him. I heard it from him. But
Yeah.
we was riding around one day, we were talking about stuff, and he was saying, he said, "It ain't about who you know. No, it ain't about what you know, and it ain't about who you know either. It's about what you know you can do for who you know." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
a lot of folks, they would always throw that first one out there. It ain't about what you know, it's about who you know. But he was just like,
Right.
nah, it ain't about what you know, and it ain't always about who you know. It's about what you know you can do for who you know. Because
Yeah.
if you just know everybody, now you're just popular. Oh
Right.
yeah, I know him, I know her, I know them. They know me. You just popular now.
Right.
But what value are you bringing? Like, what do
Yeah.
you know how to do for the people that you know? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
No
like
doubt.
when he dropped that on me, that really impacted how I viewed things, you know what I'm saying? So
Word.
it's like
Word.
it was like an extension of a phrase that just used to get thrown out so casually, like, yeah, man, it ain't about what you know, it's about who you know. But it's like, nah,
Right.
it's about what you know you can do for who you know. That's what matter. You
For
know what
sure.
I'm saying? So that's something that stuck with me. That's something that I share with people when I have the opportunity to say it.
Okay. Okay. No, that's dope. I like that a lot, man. And then also, what do you envision the culture to look like in the next 3 to 5 years in regards to the sneaker trends and overall interest in sneakers and the culture, particularly in Atlanta?
You know what, man? Like, it's gonna be interesting, bro, because like it's always gonna be there, but we I mean, granted, to a degree, if you consider yourself a sneaker connoisseur, like there are things that you ignore because I want these, but it's like, but it's gonna be hard to ignore the the economic times we facing too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like sneaker companies, they're definitely dollar driven. I mean, granted, it may not look like that because you're like, bro, what y'all make these for? Who's gonna buy this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they are thinking, no, this is gonna make us some money. But like, I think sneaker culture is always gonna be there because people are always gonna want to express themselves in that way. But I do think folks are gonna think a little more economically about what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because the
Yeah.
way the world is going right now, whether it's like if you want to get into the politic conversation, cool. But like you're even being impacted by the tariffs and stuff. Like, I remember
Right.
like, granted they don't like granted they make sneakers, they're not still a company, but like, bruh. So one of my favorite lines is paddle, right? And they had dropped this soccer jersey. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get this soccer jersey, bruh. Click.
Yeah.
And everything goes through. And like true story. Like this is why I still rock with them for this. So they emailed me maybe the next day. They were like, just letting you know, our country is one of the countries impacted by the tariffs. Just want to give you a heads up that you're probably gonna have to pay extra to get it over there.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? And then I emailed them back like, how much we talking? You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right.
And they hit me back like, about this much. I was like, God damn, bro. I
Yeah,
want the
nigga
shirt
cheap.
that bad. You know what I'm saying? But I went on ahead and went through it to purchase because like they were solid enough to email me back as a customer, like, hey, bro, we don't want to surprise you at your mailbox. You know what I'm saying? We're letting
Mhm.
you know ahead of time. This is what's up. So like, you know what? I appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and get the shirt. Probably ain't gonna be shopping around there too often, you know what I'm saying? Until things calm down, but I appreciate
Right,
y'all. So I say all that to say, like, it's gonna be those kind of things that are impacting how we maneuver too, where it's just like, oh man, I want to get this. Oh shit, it coming from France?
right.
Oh no, bro. You know what I'm saying? So like I think that's gonna
Yeah,
impact how a lot of us decide what we want and what we think we need as far as, sneakers and fashion is concerned. Cause like those are things you can't ignore. But, I think as like we were talking about earlier, as more and more brands offer different flavors, different perspectives to the marketplace, people are gonna find things that resonate with them, at their time in life. Like I said, whether they're looking for function, whether they're looking for style, whether they're looking for, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like people have a lot of options. So people are going to find different things that resonate with them in different ways to express themselves. And, I'm also liking how, especially with the efforts of people like KO and Trinidad James and others, like we're seeing community make a return too. You know what I'm
there it
saying?
is right there, yep.
We're starting to see community, real face-to-face community build back up again. Cause like that's that was one of my favorite parts of being in the sneaker world. Like I could sit up in the store and not buy nothing. You know
Right,
what I'm saying? You could be just in there just chopping game with folks. You know what I'm saying?
it
Like you
is.
might cop something eventually, but just being able to be in there and talk about a whole wealth of things. You know what I'm saying? Because sneaker conversations are always going to lead to conversations about something else. You know what I'm saying? Granted, yes, we can definitely talk about sneakers for hours on end, but it's always fun when those conversations lead into other things and they might manifest into opportunities and things
No
like
doubt.
that. So so I think, as long as we're trending in that direction, where we're seeing like more of that community come back, I think, that's going to be the telltale sign of, what direction we're headed in.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's dope, man, and I agree with that 100%. So, at this point, man, take the time to plug yourself, talk about whatever initiatives that you're involved in, and let us know how we can support you.
Right on, man. So I'm excited to talk about this podcast series that I produced and I'm treating it like a documentary. I know in this media cycle that we live in, something come out Tuesday, is out of style by Wednesday, but it's like, nah, I'm treating this thing like a documentary because it's always gonna be new to somebody. Me and two other Atlanta-based journalists, Jewel Wicker and Christina Lee, we co-produced a podcast series called Atlanta Is. It's a limited 8 episode series where we're telling different little known or just never told before stories from Atlanta's culture. It was released in November, and it was supported by Will Packer Productions,
Oh,
Complex,
wow.
and iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're continuing to tell people about this because we think it's something that a lot of people would enjoy hearing. We've got nothing but positive feedback on it too. So we're telling different stories from Atlanta's history, and we covered a range of topics. A lot of people when they saw us promoting it at first, they thought it was just going to be about music, but no, we're telling stories from the music industry. We're telling stories from church and religion. We're telling stories from nightlife. We're telling stories from film. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think, so it's like, and we did that on purpose. We wanted to tell like a lot of different stories to just show how much Atlanta has impacted the world and has influenced the world. You know what I'm saying? So you can find that wherever podcasts are listened to. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, everywhere. It's called Atlanta Is. You type it in, it's going to say like Atlanta Is with the three dots after it. So I would love for people to continue to check that out, share it, listen to it on your road trips, listen to it at the gym, wherever you listen to podcasts at, and it's a narrative show. Like, so it's not like, cause that's a funny thing too. Like, we tell people podcast, they immediately think, oh, it's like Joe Budden. It's like,
Right.
nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're telling stories, you know what I'm saying? Like, we took it back to like one of the original styles of podcasting, like we're telling narrative stories with different voices in it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you can check that out. Atlanta Is. Um, by the end of this month, I'm testing out a new idea with Nike, through, Atlanta Run Club. I'm starting this interview series called Fit to Lead, where I'm going to be interviewing and highlighting different, business leaders, community leader types, who have adopted, running specifically, but also just fitness in general into their lifestyle, and talking about, their journeys on that front. You know what I'm saying? Talking about how introducing running and things like that to their lifestyle has helped them become better business people, healthier people, how it clears their mind, helps them make better decisions and any other thing like that. Cause a lot of times, we always hear about, oh yeah, man, business deals get made on the golf course.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
this kind of stuff happens on runs too. You know
For
what I'm
sure.
saying? This stuff be happening at Crunch Fitness too, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it ain't just the golf course.
Right.
So yeah, that's something I'm excited about. Like the first guest that I have is Ryan Wilson, who is the CEO and co-founder of the Gathering Spot. So I'm excited about that. It's going to be at the Nike store at Lenox um on February 24th. You know what I'm saying? But I'm aiming to have that be a thing where it's once a month, where we feature different business leaders, community leaders, people like that. Um and then also, yeah, man, you're more than welcome to come out to this, man. I've been co-hosting a trivia night for many years here called Facts Only Trivia. Matter of fact, me and my man that I mentioned earlier, Brandon Peters, like we do it along with my guy DJ Duce, who's Big Crits Road DJ. We host a trivia night once a month. Right now, it's at the West Side Motor Lounge, and we're doing that every second Tuesday of the month. It's hip hop based because it started off as hip hop trivia, but we rebranded it a couple years ago. But it's definitely for folks like us. You know what I'm saying? Like people that love hip hop culture, things like that. And yeah, I think that's about it. And of course, always feel free to join us for our run at Atlanta Run Club, man. You look us up at AtlantaRunClub.com. You can find out about our different runs throughout the week. Most people know us from our Monday night runs that we do at Ponce City Market. But we also have runs, in Chinatown with Chamblee that starts at the Chinatown complex. So we're up in Chamblee. We have our Saturday morning runs that starts at Ponce City Market as well. And, we just started a new run with Camp Kirk Studios on Sundays, on
Yeah.
Sunday morning. So we start out at the studio and, run around the city. And, of course, we still do that track workout, that I was scared of at first. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Well, I think that's about it, man.
Okay, that's dope. And how can they find you on socials?
So you can find me on Instagram, at Maurice Garland. You know what I'm saying? I have a very off-on relationship with social media, period. Sometimes I'll deactivate it for months. You know what I'm saying? Because Instagram, yeah, it's a trip, man. Because I had got off of it for a long time, right? And when I came back to it during COVID, I was like, man, you got to connect with the world somehow, you know. But when I got back, it was so different. It's like, man, this is like a
Different.
mall. Like
Yeah.
everything for sale. Like, where are
Right.
the people? You know what I'm saying? So I have like a off and on relationship but I'm there though. Like at Maurice Garland. I also have started, sharing stories on Substack. They're mostly just like little funny stories from my past and stuff like that. But Maurice Garland Substack. You can find me there. But yeah, I think that's all I can remember for right now. That's it.
Okay. Okay. That's dope, man. Well, once again, hey, thank you, brother, for taking the time to come on and talk with us, man. I knew like you and I met each other a long time ago, but I knew from the first meeting, I was like, okay, this brother he knows Atlanta, you know, he loves Atlanta. But then the more I met you or whatever, I just kind of knew that, okay, it's not even about the city, it's about the people, and you are totally plugged in to making sure that the culture like has value, man, and it's not like sold out by, you know, big business or whatever, that you really want people to like kind of keep 10 toes down, and like that's what this show is all about, like the
Yeah, man.
grassroots of the culture. And I've always appreciated the opportunities that you and I have had to talk, man. So thank you for your time, man. This has been awesome. I appreciate you, brother.
Now, thank you for having me, man. Like, you know, it's moments like this that I'm grateful for. It's like, you know, we live lifestyles where it's like, man, we can just have conversations like this and share 'em with the world. You know what I'm saying?